Ho, ho, ho! Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It's great to see you. Happy Friday night. We made it to the end of another week, right? Oh, this is the night. This is the night to relax. I'm hoping that it looks cozy here for you in the background. My husband's got the fire going behind me. Hopefully that lasts. I can't believe that I'm saying this, but it's warm in here. It's quite warm in here with the fire blazing. And I don't know what the temperature is where you are, but I'm almost afraid to ask. It has taken such a dip, and I think don't want to say it, but I think we're all in for it, right? It's gonna take a nosedive here in New England over the next few days. Stay safe, stay warm. You might be one of those people in the path of the new storm. Can you believe it? 2 weekends in a row. Gosh, well, you know what? It is winter, and this is what you sign up for when you live in a nice part of the world where you've got all four seasons, right? Welcome back, everybody. It's nice to see you on a Friday night. I thought of a great idea for the show today. Why didn't I think of this before? What is wrong with me besides all of the obvious things? I remember last year, was it last year? It was the year before that I was, yeah, it was the year before that I was in Niagara Falls for Tigger, right? And if you remember the videos that I recorded at that time, I was so sort of enthralled and found the display on the bug rug so interesting and inspiring. I did a lot of video of it at the time, and maybe you remember some of those videos. I was walking through the show. You can always go back to those later. But I also remember that at that time, I was spending a lot of time with Leslie Knight and Yvonne Iten-Scott, right? They were the last Tigger board, and and of course they were the curators and the writers for this book that we're going to look at together tonight, called Magnificent. Oh, the green screen's on. Magnificent Bugs in Rugs. Snug as a bug in a rug. This display was just magical, and I remember thinking I will do a show on it. I just wanted to wait to see what the book situation is because I wanted to be sure that I have the book because I bought the book there, right? But a few people asked during the day today about where to get the book. And I love that question because that means that you are preemptively and already so sure that you are going to love this book and you are going to love this book, that you want to know where you can get it. So I put into the video just now, it's tricky because printing just a few, and I know this from, publishing my own books, it can be tricky with numbers and volume and all that stuff. So I got two replies that help us answer the question of where can I get the book if you love the book. One of them came from Leslie herself. Now she is in Canada. So if you're in Canada, you might be thinking, perfect, that makes the most sense. And I put Leslie's email into the description of this video that you're watching now. Your other great lead is Gail Dufresne, and I put her name into the description of the video too. And she's on Facebook, and she's in the US. So I said, either, depending on where you are geographically, write to Gail Dufresne because she has a set amount of these books left in stock. And if you are in Canada, write to Leslie Knight at the email. Both of them are in the description of the video. And that's your best chance for following up on that right now. I didn't have a lot of time right before I went live. So I will ask Leslie, like, what if I would never make money on someone else's book, right? So I'm not looking to stock them to make a profit, but I'm wondering if I can buy a bunch of them and bring them, ship them here to put them in the Ribbon Candy Hooking store. Because it is tricky. I don't know how many Gail has in stock, and it is tricky. Want to be sure that they're available. If you would like them, I want to be sure that you can get them. So those are two good leads to start with. And then let's say later on, you can always write to me and say, so what's going on with those books? I still want one. And then I can figure out from Leslie what makes sense as far as bringing some here so that they can be sent from the US. In the most sensible and economic way, right? All right, let me start by saying happy Friday to everybody. Linda, great to see you in New Jersey. Cheers, crafty crew. Keeping warm there in Jersey. Oh, I hope so. I'm thinking it's mostly people on the East Coast right now who are going to get the second wave of the second storm in a row. We thought we were, and the kids were already kind of celebrating the possibility of having Monday off. But it looks like it's sticking to the coast and that here inland, we're not seeing it. I hope that you're not seeing it. Cheryl, you are on the coast on the Cape. You might get it on Saturday, right? Oh, it is so cold. You know what else happened this week that I want to tell you before I forget? Cheryl, you just reminded me. I was very gung ho to go to the biennial Cranberry Rug Hooker Show in Harwich, the Harwich Community Center on Cape Cod that first week of May. And as luck has it, this always happens with calendar stuff. I was just going to go to hang out and socialize and see the show. Green Mountain asked me to speak that very same day, and it's a big anniversary for them, that guild. That talk is taking place in New Hampshire. It's a big deal, and the subject is the future of rug hooking. So I feel I really have to be there to do that. I want to. That's my subject. So I want to. But Cheryl, you know I'll be on the Cape for over 2 weeks, from May into June. So we'll get together and have some funsies in there. Cranberry thing will be great. I hope somebody goes and takes photographs. And I keep putting new things on the calendar. I hope that you do too. If you are in our Facebook group, which is Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club, make sure that you're posting fiber festivals, hook-ins, guild events, stuff that's happening, that's coming up. Make sure you're posting it so that we can all see what's going on. We can add stuff to our own calendars, based on, geography and what makes sense. Courtney, great to see you. Happy Friday night. Ruth, great to see you. I hope Richard's doing okay. I saw your post this week. Sharon, great to see you. Hi, everyone. Everyone have your hot cocoa? That really sounds good. I have a straight up vodka. Just kidding. I'm just not drinking now that I'm taking this weight loss shot because I get very, very drunk immediately. And you might be thinking, well, isn't that a good thing? And it is a good thing. But it's also the calories. I'm just so strict with myself these days. And we literally just went. We have a buddy over the house. We have a sleepover. Come on, Buttons, you coming up? We have a sleepover buddy over the house tonight, and I just love him. Great with both of my kids, which is great. So we just drove down the hill to the center of the village here. If it was nicer weather, we would have walked. And we went to the little market down there, which is so charming. It's got like art for sale all over the walls. And Friday night is open mic night. So there was somebody playing beautiful sort of acoustic guitar. So nice. There's all kinds of food and different kinds of cakes. And it was so nice. But I had a chai. I had, a chai. What is a chai, by the way? What is a chai? Not like a chai tea, but chai that you put, like, it's like a latte, right? But like, what is it? Because I was saying, like, she doesn't know how many calories it is, right? And I know I probably shouldn't have had it. I'm thinking, how do they make that stuff? It's so good. And I had it with almond milk. But what is chai? I still don't understand. Is it just like spices? I don't want to feel guilty about it. Don't tell me if it's just like a bag of sugar. Jane, great to see you. Hello in Maryland. Are you getting the storm this weekend too? Because you're right there on the coast. Jane, it's great to see you. Oh, I got to move faster. I see everything is ticking away here. Goretti, great to see you too. Extremely cold in Ontario. Oh, I bet. Hope everyone is cozy for the moment. Very cozy. It's going to go into the negatives for us here tonight. Really cold. Mom, you found the link. Fantastic. Great to see you. Really cold in Granby, Connecticut. We're coming your way tomorrow with the kids to go to Grassroots, which is this super gourmet ice cream place. And it now has attached to it this street food restaurant where it's all like famous dishes from like food trucks, very cool. It's inside. Let's see. Diane, great to see you. Hello from not in the negatives anymore, Illinois. Well, that is some good news. It's headed in the right direction, right? Diane, hi, Deanna. Here I am with your rum and Coke in hand. That sounds so nice for wintertime, especially nice, doesn't it? Cheers, my dears. And New Moon, happy Frosty Friday. Oh, I like that. That has a ring to it. Myra, great to see you. It is icy in Virginia. Good evening to you too, Catherine in Southern California, 80 degrees. I know who's winning. That sounds great. Great to see you, Karen. Great to see you too. Good evening from mild and clear Black Forest, Colorado. Ruth, got your tea tonight. Sounds great. Don't start Buttons. Diane said, I need Dave's cider to go with the baklava. Oh, you do. You do that you're eating right now. That sounds really good. Deanna, you won't see bomb cyclone. Cape Hatteras will get it. Okay. Yeah. I heard people referring to it as bomb cyclone. I heard Teddy say that. And the first time I heard it, it made me nervous. I was like, does he know something I don't know? Bomb cyclone. It's just, I've never heard such an aggressive name. I mean, they usually have names like Lydia, and this one is like Bomb Cyclone. I'm okay with not getting it. My husband was like scraping snow off the roof just because it's heavy, and then it landed on the porch. And that was a heart attack maker, trying to get the snow off the porch, right? In these cold temperatures, it just it's like exercise, isn't it? It's not one of my fave things to do. Mimi, great to see you in chilly Nebraska. Oh, I bet it's chilly. I hope you're nice and warm. Carrie, great to see you. Bug Rug is beautiful. This book is so beautiful. Honestly, I don't know why my brain didn't immediately come back and say, let's do it now. I had it on hold in my head until I knew more about the books, and then I kind of forgot. And then I was going through, you see, we have a lot of books here. We're just surrounded by books in like every room, and some of them are still in boxes. I have so many books. I was on my hands and knees looking for something else, and then I saw the bug book, and I thought, oh, this is going to be great for content on a Friday night, right? A little bit of a longer show. MC Peculiar. I know you gave me the name last week. Peace and blessings to you too. It's great to see you. Happy Friday. Chai black tea with garam masala. Well, I know I like that already. Spices in it. Is that right? I think so. No, no, because it's not the tea, it's the latte. It's more like a coffee. It's not like clear. You know what I mean? I have a feeling it's naughty, but it's so worth it. And it does taste like garam masala. Sometimes I use that for cooking savory stuff too. Going into the negatives there too. Oh no. Oh no. Hope everyone's staying nice and warm. I second that. That is the sentiment. Stay in, stay warm. Be safe, Beth. Great to see you. Lots of snow. Lots of snow in Kentucky, but I was able to clean my rugs with dry, fluffy snow. That was great. Now, what did you do? Did you kind of rub it onto the rug, or did you do a Karen Garby and brush it with a broom? I saw some photos this week of people making sort of lemonade, so to speak, with the snow. If it's down on the ground, you might as well clean your rugs. I saw somebody cleaning, what was it, sweaters, things like that. I mean, it's a good use of what is already there, right? Yes, chai literally means tea, but masala chai is an Indian blend with aromatic spices. So maybe they're just adding the almond milk to it and then fizzing it up, fluffing it up with the little springy thing. Makes it frothy, frothing it up. Yeah, it's so good. Really so good. Jessica, oh my God. You know what I'm going to do before we get started, Jessica? Because I have it here. I'm going to show you. We'll do a sneak preview before we get into the content. Let me just also say you had a chai latte. I did have a chai latte. What does that mean? Is that still the same thing, but just with like cream in it? Dave, great to see you. We've got to know, have you got your cider tonight? Leftover honey garlic sausages. Oh, you've got red wine. You're mixing it up tonight. You caught us off guard. That sounds really good for dinner. Still fixing and whip stitching a rug. Well, that can take some time, as we know, right? Before I get into magnificent bugs and rugs, and they are all truly magnificent, we aren't going to look at all of them because we do have some leads to be able to buy this book. But I have to say, yesterday I got in the mail, sorry, Jessica's rug that is the design of Karen Garby and Kirsten Gay, Pitter Pat Press, for the upcoming Magpie Times magazine. We don't have the cover image ready yet. I'm going to photograph it tomorrow for Judy, and she's going to whack it all together. She's got like almost the whole thing together. But I'm going to show you a sneak preview. Now remember, I am in firelight, I am in lamplight, right? I am in the living room in the dark, so the light is not going to be great. But I'm going to show you a preview of this astonishing rug that Karen and Kirsten designed and Jessica Troyer hooked. Let me get that right now. Don't move buttons, by all means. Jessica, I was so blown away when I saw this thing. It is just like bonkers great. So get ready. Now, you're not going to see it in perfect light. You know that already, right? And remember that the theme of the Spring Magpie is Tea Party, and the sub theme is baby animals, because a lot of people are putting stuff with baby animals in. Um, this is a big piece, Jessica. And it's not exactly flat because I'm holding it, but are you all seeing this piece of wonderment? So there are three llamas. I can't see it anymore, so I hope I'm holding it up good. There are three llamas sitting at the tea table with their treasures, with their petit fours and their teapots, and they are dressed in tea hats. I mean, how gorgeous is this rug? Jessica, I'm so blown away. So blown away. I hope you can see. We'll look at it close up and you'll see it. You'll see it on the cover, but you'll see some close ups uh, in the article inside the upcoming Magpie Times about this piece. But this is a tricky design. This is a busy design. This is a cover piece. And Jessica, you more than hit it out of the park. It's absolutely phenomenal, right? I'll get it in really good light, I promise. I know it, right? I got to read these comments too. The llama tea party is fabulous. Oh my God, that rug is such a hoot. It is. It's so large too. It's just gorgeous. And there's little blingy things on it too. Do you see what I mean? It is such fun. I'm going to get such good. Do you see the heads? I'm being careful, Jessica, I promise. Do you see the head scarf? I mean, such a lot of fun. I know, right, Rita? This is like, yeah, this is one of the, Rita, as you would say, this is one of the goats, right? I learned that from Rita. She told me what that meant for the first time. And you know what? The kids are saying it. The kids are saying that things are goated, right? And that means like the goated thing is the greatest of all time thing. And that includes people. And Jessica, I'm going to say you are goated and this rug is goated, even though it's llamas. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Oh, I just realized the tablecloth is that velvet? It is velvet, isn't it? Gosh, this is so pretty. I can't wait to look. I'm going to take some great photos of it tomorrow. Um, I can't wait to look at it some more. If you were thinking, was there stuff sticking out like Prati and ribbon? Yes. Okay. Putting it safe. It's all safe. Jessica, that's phenomenal. And I think we're all excited to see it close up. I'll take fantastic photos. So that was exciting. That was exciting. And that issue is it's going to come out. It's going to be a fun issue for all of us, I think. And as soon as that comes out, we need to start thinking about the summer issue, right? Things move like that. The summer issue is going to be the theme of the Summer Magpie because it's a quarterly. What do we say for the theme? Like kites, flight. The theme is like flight, kites, hot air balloons, things like that, right? Things in the sky. And the cover design, Barbara Cornish is doing the cover design. It's a ribbon candy hooking design that goes along with the second ribbon candy book that comes out this year. The first one is the Rose book, and I'm just about done with that. I'm wrapping that up right now. The second one is the Spilling the Tea book, which is about the first 250 years. Well, it's celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Revolution. I feel I need to be really clear and say it's not a patriotic book, right? Because it's not where I'm at right now with how I'm feeling. But it is a book that celebrates the colonial settlement periods, the great stories from those periods, the great people, and the 250th anniversary of independence, right? Without being overtly political or patriotic, right? It is what it is. So I have to say, a lot of you took on some projects for that book over the past week. And I have, just to keep you updated, there's only a handful of projects left. I think there are. And the ones that are left aren't like ugly. I mean, I think they're all gorgeous designs. Just different people resonate with different things. So I think I have, if you're interested, make sure you send me an email sooner rather than later, because if you wait a couple days, the one that you want to take will be gone, sadly. I have the four poster left, which is an image about bundling and tavern life. It's a little bit saucy. I have Boston Sunday, which is a still life with a big Boston bean pot on a doorstep and a character opening the door. I have Target Practice, which is a cemetery scene, and some of the gravestones have bullet holes through them because the British used old cemeteries for target practice. And I have Painting Pioneers, which shows three colonial era females who were quite famous painters whose names we've never heard. Guess why? Because they weren't men. Sorry, Dave. It's just the way it is, right? And I have one called Real Freedom, which is one that I don't think anyone's seen yet. It's a bird cage with the door open and a cardinal coming out. A lot of people kept birds that were new to the New World in the colonial period, and cardinals were one of them that they kept as pets. A lot of unusual animals like raccoons and deer being kept as pets in those days. So if you're interested in any of those patterns, I know I didn't show them to you, I just described them to you, or you have your own original idea for a sort of 1620 to 1790 era story or pattern that you would like to put into the book, please let me know, because I'm going to be working on that next week. I'll be done with the Rose book and we'll be on to the next book. Lots of things to juggle. So the summer issue of Magpie Times will feature that book on the front cover with a pattern that nobody has seen yet but Barbara and I. And if you are looking to put things into the summer issue, get them ready now. If you're thinking about an article, get it ready now. We need that content. We want your stuff, whether you are a beginner or you've been doing this for 100 years. We want your great content for that summer issue, right? Let's do it. Rita, I'll send it to you. It's very pretty. It's simple and pretty, and it's called Real Freedom. I really like it. Okay. Oh, good. I'm glad Jessica saw all those great comments because that piece is astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. Huge congrats to Jessica for hooking. Huge congrats to Karen and Kirsten for a design that really is cover worthy and it's just stunning. Speaking of stunning, right? So if you saw me at Tigger in 2024 in Niagara Falls, you maybe saw those videos where I was checking out all of the displays that were up. And certainly the Magnificent Bugs was one of the most eye-catching and satisfying ones to look at because it included text. There was a sort of educational quality to it where you got to learn about these bugs. The thing, and we're not looking at all of the images in the book, right? Because I do feel that it will be possible to find the book and buy the book if you want the book. It is a beautiful book, beautifully made. I don't think we have page numbers, but it's a thick book, right? This is all images, right? An image on every page with a description of that particular bug. I think for me, the thing that was so exciting about this exhibit was obviously, as usual, with an exhibit this large and this many people participating, the many different styles that we saw, the many different types of hookers, from the very, very fine traditional hookers to the really blingy, over the top, wild and crazy hookers. There was a lot of variety in the show, but also it really refocused my face, right? Looking at these images, it focused my face and made me think to myself, I had no idea that these bugs could be so beautiful. Now, don't get me wrong, some of them are gross, but in a weird way, they're still beautiful in a weird way, right? Not if it's like an episode of the Brady Bunch and you're Peter and you're laying in bed and there's a giant spider on your chest, right? Not then. But just looking at them in a textile context, they are remarkably pretty and colorful and busy little creatures. It made me second guess just my general attitude about bugs, like, ooh, get it off me, because they are so curious. Every single one of them is a little character in a little world unto itself. So in that regard, the book is so educational. It's so interesting to look at, so much eye candy, and it gets you thinking, how can I be so, like, how can I ever think of bugs as eye candy? But you do, and you're going to see what I mean. Diane says, Diane, I left a donut story in the post of your spilling the tea video. Ooh, oh, I missed that. I missed that. I'm going to have to go back and look. Days ago, a grandparent of donut came to New York by the Dutch. Oh, made me laugh. Maybe add recipe. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, the Dutch are big on their donuts. They're called, and I remember this from my days living over there, olibola. And the olibola are like fried dough, like something. They don't have a circle in them, right? Although those are obviously known too. The olibola are like the fried dough, but they are more like our current fritters with like hot junk in them, like apple or ginger. The ginger one was very nice. Chocolatey, savory stuff and sweet stuff. But olibolin literally translates as oil ball. So you think about it and then you think, maybe not. But they were delicious and they appear on food trucks in like cold weather, not in warm weather. but they're on every street corner, right next to the like little flower stall. On every street corner you get these Oli Bolins, which is just like a different kind of a donut. They are big on their donuts, but they're all 7'8" and like lean as a string bean, and they can afford to just walk around drinking in the street and eating Oli Bolin, right? They're not they don't have my physique. But yes, that's a good, donuts is a good one. And I like the idea of recipes. That would fit in really well with the book. I like that. I'll see if I can find it. Joy, great to see you in North Carolina, waiting for more snow, I think you mean. I'm so sorry. I know you're getting clobbered. God's creation. That's right. All of these little characters, right? They are each so whimsical, and it just gets you thinking. God, it's infinite, the creatures that are out there, whether you're into bugs or you're into I was going to say butterflies, but butterflies are still bugs, aren't they? Animals, fish. I mean, Joss knows every kind of fish that's ever lived. She knows every kind of Pokemon that's ever lived, but that's a little bit different. But whatever you're into, I mean, it just, you can go into amazing rabbit holes, discovering more, right? Or discovering subspecies. And your husband loves fried dough. It's really lovable, isn't it? I love it with the powdered sugar all over it, as opposed to sauce. Although I love that too. If I'm honest, I love it all. So this book is curated by artists from around the world, and it is put together again by Leslie Knight and Yvonne Iten-Scott. So this is the front cover. This is the back cover, reminder if you're joining us a little bit late that you could either get it in the US, at least some copies are still with Gail Dufresne, right? So Facebook her, that's the best way. Or if you are in Canada, email Leslie Knight. And I put her email address in the description of this video. And I would say it's a bit of a land rush with these books, right? Because I don't know how many Gail has. And as far as I know, those are the only ones in the US right now. And again, I will try to bring some more in so that they can be made available for everybody who wants one, right? That would be ideal. And I'd like to figure out how to do that. So I will be working on that. When you open up this book, so this came out in 2024. It was brand new when we had Tigger. It's a beautiful format for a book too. It's a little bit different. It has that landscape orientation, beautiful high quality pages, cover. The printing is very high quality, a little bit glossy, right? You see what I mean? Really nice quality book. You open it up and it says, creepy, crawly things that fly. Bugs are art on land and sky. Some are colorful, some try to hide. They cover the earth far and wide. As you turn each page, we hope you'll find magnificent bugs that will blow your mind. Perhaps once you've learned all the cool things they do, you'll stop, think twice before you squish them with your shoe. That really is so nice. I feel so bad now. I stepped on an ant like today. After I looked at these beautiful bugs too. Why are they inside the house though? Why are they, I mean, I don't understand. It makes me nervous that they're termites or something. Like, why are they here? It's the dead of winter. Um, in any case, I will think twice before I squish another one with my shoe. So let's look at some of these beauties. And because this is a large book and there are so many people who participated in this, um, I gotta say, I don't have everyone in here. And this contains 45 hooked rugs because I'm hoping that you get the book and you support the book, right? Because this is a beautiful project. And this kind of a book, once it disappears, right, from availability, it's like it's scarcer than hen's teeth, right? I mean, honestly, it is. So it's good to support and to get it while you can, right? Because it's a limited edition kind of small press situation for sure. So if you have a piece in this book and I'm not showing this book, I feel I always have to say this. It doesn't mean that yours is not the best piece or my favorite piece. I just randomly flipped through and took some photographs because you know what? They're all the best piece and it's impossible to decide. They honestly are all the best piece. So please don't take it personally if we are looking at the book and I don't bring your piece up. Every single one of these is a killer, I can guarantee you. So let's start and look at some of these. Come over here with me and um, Rita says, I can vouch for this book, worth every penny. And I don't buy too many books anymore, but this one had to be in my library. It, I totally agree. It is so different, and the subject is so different, but it's just a lot of fun. I'm gonna have to go. So the way that the book works, let me come back over here, is we see, for example, the page set out like this. Right, we're about to look at this piece together of the cabbage white, which is that a butterfly or a moth? The cabbage white is a Pieris rape. Huh. It's got his wings open. Does that mean he's a butterfly? I mean, he could be a moth. Maybe we'll find out. So it works like that. And then you go to the back of the book, which serves as a sort of an index. And and then I find the creature in the back of the book, and I'm able to tell you who did this one. So let me do this part first so we don't forget. I'm looking for, let me look one more time. Let's see. They are in a different order, I think, by the maker's name alphabetically. So this will be just a little bit of a time challenge. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was alphabetical, or I would have done it in advance. Let's see. Okay, there it is right there. Maybe it is in order, actually. I think it is. I'm just being an idiot. Anne Hewitt of Reeth, right? Of Reeth. That is Yorkshire in the United Kingdom. So knowing that it is Anne Hewitt, let's come back over here and let's look at Cabbage White. It says, given its name, I'm sure you can guess. Oh, wow. Is this book all written in verse? Oh, it's getting exciting fast. Given its name, I'm sure you can guess cabbage, a food it prefers to digest. In fact, it devours with such a great zest. Wherever it dwells, it's considered a pest. This insect has sensors upon its feet, telling it a flower has nectar to eat. The male does a wonderful zigzaggy dance to attract a mate, so the species enhance. Wow, this is done in rhyming fours, right? These are not even couplets. We've got like, I wonder if it's gonna. It is. I think we've got some rhymes coming our way. How this is amazing. How did they do this? Rita says, yes, Yvonne and Leslie wrote poems that go with each bug. So, come on. What this is beyond precious. The exhibit won a blue ribbon at Sauder the year that it was there. Rita, was that 2024 or was that, I don't think I saw it last year. What, it wasn't last year, was it? Did I I mean, it's not like I would miss it. It's that I might have been busy with a thousand things, but already seen it and not thought. Let me know if you remember whether it was Sauter 2024 or 2025. Wow. So, look at this piece. What a stunning piece. And this is the first example that we're looking at. You can see and you can anticipate. I can see chain stitch around the edge of this. Can you see at the very, very border? There's like a sort of sage or celery green chain stitch. Really, really lovely. Just beautiful hooking. Everybody's going to hook in a different style. It even looks like if you again look around the border a little. I mean, I am looking at the hooked piece as well. But the border is really curious. It looks like there's something done, either a fancy hooking style, 2024. Okay, so the year that it came out, it was both at Sauder in 2024. Um, I was going to say there would be really something wrong with me if I didn't clock it this year at Sauder. And it went to Tigger the same year at Niagara, 2024. I feel like there's something done with a fancy hook or a needle, that black kind of, it looks like black work around the edge, right? You see there's like a sort of square pattern around the edge. It looks like embroidery. So beautiful. The hooking on this is absolutely stellar. We are getting the rhyme about the piece. We're getting to look at the piece and to know that, for example, this is the cabbage white. And I still don't know if it's a moth or a butterfly. Suppose it could be a butterfly, right? Um, Gosh, I mean, it is a beautiful thing. The hooking is just gorgeous. It has a real impressionist quality to it, doesn't it? There's something so lovely and thoughtful about the coloring. It's very earthy coloring. There's a lot of neutral in this, and it does have that icy blue sky that really sets off that pure snow white. Sorry about the reference to the snow. Butterfly or moth, the cabbage white, right? Really sets it out. That's a good match. And the black on the cabbage white is so striking because the contrast is very, very high, isn't it? Just a beautiful piece. I love the crispness and the graphic quality of the cabbage white versus the impressionist background. All of those moody shades of blue kind of dragging along, these sort of earthy, warm colors of leaves and flowers or weeds. Just very interesting color palette. It manages, with not a huge scope of color, it manages to be colorful. It reads as colorful. Really unusual, really striking piece. These challenges are such a lot of fun because people are coming to them with such confidence, with original ideas, with a passion for doing their specific creature, right? Their specific bug in this case. And people are digging in, just like the project that Liz Marino is working on now, the Endangered Species Project. I just love these kinds of challenges because people do dig in. You really get, oh, butterfly. Thank you, Courtney. He looked pretty like a butterfly, didn't it? Although some moths are gorgeous. Thank you. Now, this is our friend, the harvester ant. Now I feel guilty. This is the harvester ant, and let's read the poem for him. Colonies consist of workers and queen, making conical homes a sight to be seen, built to be up to 5 meters deep. Chambers of seeds are what they keep. The queen sends the workers to forage for food. Scientists studied this magnificent brood. Ants set out, would flow and ebb, an algorithm like traffic on the World Wide Web. Well, that is clever, isn't it? That is clever. Now, this piece, the harvester ant, it says in text, two kinds of texts, three if you count the number, right, with the sizing of it. Western harvester ant, and there is his Latin name, and there is our friend, right, facing us. It looks, yeah, formidable in this pose, right? A little less so as you see them parading. The ants go marching 2 by 2, hurrah! Remember that song? Around the border. And I mean, so there's a few things going on here. This is another really striking piece. I love the flat out science, right? I love the sort of school board quality of the text and the Latin translation, and then the Western harvester ant with its measurement. It looks very scientific. It looks like something you would see hanging in a classroom back in the day, doesn't it? But when you get a little bit lower, I have to say the style of it really grabs me. It reminds me of graphics that I see for like the striping, right? The colors and the striping for like California surf brands of clothing and boards. It has that very sort of contemporary color palette. It's really, really bold, exciting. Still, not. It's not like every color of the rainbow, but it's very colorful. It really gets you. I love the busyness of the border, and I love the irregular quality of the border. We're not looking at the ants going marching like equidistant from each other. We're looking at them just the way they are, marching together, right? They're all where they're supposed to be, but they are different distances apart, right? Just like life, right? They're some grouped together, others are a bit more spread out, a little bit slower. I love the sort of simplicity of that anthill or the sandhill with all of that striping on the horizon. I mean, it really, with something like this, we've got a brown sandhill, the brown ant, and then brown ants in the border. It really does take imagination to come up with this kind of color plan and this kind of a composition. The border with the two blocks of information, the illustration of the ant and the text, right? That is absolutely genius because while this could seem like if you said to yourself, well, I'm just going to do a close up of the ant with the text and I'll do the ant border and then like the composition is basically going to be an ant hill, you could talk yourself out of that quickly and think, no, I'm not sure it's going to work. But you know what? When you sit down and you think about color and even the shading on this anthill, you know when anything, right? Sand, an anthill, a sand castle. You know that there's different colors of sand that emerge as like the digging happens, right? We're seeing all of those different shades, almost like salt and pepper on the top of the anthill, flecks of color and interest that work very much in contrast with the shaped out informational panels here, but also that lovely, exciting, contemporary sort of rainbow of sunset or sunrise that we see on the horizon. Really cool. Antenna interrupting the ant trail was a neat break. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It is nice to do those unexpected things because if everything is matchy matchy, your eye tends to exit sooner. If something is very matchy matchy, and we do expect matchy matchy with like Penn Dutch style stuff, right? That kind of um, teveve, right? Like Hawaiian pieces that are 4 quarters the same piece, right? Things, designs that are folded in half, like Scherenschnitte, like the German paper cutting. Those types of folk art we expect to be formulaic, and that is part of the charm of it. But oftentimes, a composition that is too by the book, your eye sooner rather than later goes, all right, I got it, let's go. But something like this really holds you for reasons. Like Diane just said, the border is broken by, see, I thought that was a leg, but that's an antennae. Is that an antennae? Um, yeah, and the irregular nature of the marching that's happening, because the marching is very active, but the composition itself is quite still, isn't it? Isn't that interesting? It really creates drama, not just the colors on the horizon line, but the contrast between what is moving and what is still, right? That is drama. Rita says they always included a tribute to Susan Bailey, another goat who unexpectedly and unfortunately passed. Oh, is that her at the end of the book? Yes. It was so wonderful to see our shared dream become a reality. Yeah. Okay. Susan Ferrara. One such inspiration was Susan Ferrara, the talented fiber artist who hooked Luna Moth. We are going to look at that tonight, who sadly passed away in 2023. Oh, that is sad. Beautiful picture of her there too. I agree. Yeah, it's fun to look at compositions like this. I mean, this is part of what we're doing tonight, um, because creating compositions that are successful, like the ones you're seeing tonight. All of them are successful compositions. Um, gives you ideas, it gives you tools to do some problem solving, right? Because sometimes when you're doing your own designs, the problem is, how do I make this work? How do I make it happen? So it's great to talk about things like breaking the border. These are things to jot down, right? Colleen, great to see you. Um, these are good things to jot down because they might be next time you're sitting there stumped and getting frustrated. That might be the solution that gets you past that weird speed bump and you go, oh, you know what? Solve that problem. Let's get started. Now, how cute is this guy? Right? I am not a spider person for sure. Like Jocelyn will touch one of these things. But I got to say, well, this is a jumping spider. So while I look at him, I think, oh, he's so cute. Does he want a pet? Does he want to move in and sleep on my pillow? But then I see jumping spider and I think, oh, no, thank you. Because if you've ever been around a jumping spider, you know they really do jump. And they tend to like land on you, which is just so strange. It's just what they do. But when you see this little face close up, you do think, oh, that's a cutie patootie, isn't it? Yeah, Rita, thank you for drawing that to my attention, though. That is definitely worth pointing out. That is the final page. My initial reaction was that it was a Wookiee. It does look like a little Wookiee. He's like a little fur monster. Here comes Jumping Spider's poem. By contracting muscles, it controls its blood flow to propel through the air after to propel through the air after food source or foe. No need to spin webs of silk to catch prey. But one line it trails in case jumps go astray. Sensory hairs on their bodies help them to hear and know if a threat is anywhere near. Some of the tiniest spiders, as small as a seed, also make them the cutest. I'm sure we're agreed. I hope that you can't hear the children in the other room. Aryan, make that stop. I mean, honestly, if you can hear that, you must agree it sounds like it's the end of the world. It sounds like it. What's the name of this storm? I mean, it really is extraordinary. They forgot I'm recording a show, apparently. And it's not our visitor, it's my two children. Sorry about that. This little guy is, thank you, Aryan. You don't need to yell at them now. Just, we don't want to like shame them when we have company. But that was incredible. This little guy, jumping spider, really is as cute as a button, isn't he? Isn't that funny that he doesn't spin a web? He has a different attack. And he stores his energy. I guess that's why he's able to make a sudden like leap the way that they do. This is such a cool composition because obviously the focus is on the little jumping spider, right? His little face, his character. He's a very demure pose that he's got going too. I'm sure it's perfectly accurate, but he looks very humble. He looks very, very cute. He looks very unsure of himself. He doesn't look like a vicious killer, does he? But the focus is on him, the textures in his, oh, here comes the dog now. The textures in his body, all of the little individual hairs. I don't know, I guess it's hair, not fur. Very detailed. It's still done in a very graphic manner, but very detailed. And in the background, there's some interesting stuff going on here. Instead of having, so we have like the ground and the sky essentially because we have a split horizon. But hang on, it's not exactly a horizon. It works on the diagonal. Now, isn't that interesting? I mean, it really is because if you said to yourself, I'm going to go with a horizon line and I am going to pattern this out for interest, but I'm going to do a horizon line. For me, I wouldn't think about putting it on a diagonal. And it does create a lot of interest. It really puts him in motion. And not only that, but it makes him seem very active. Like the fact that the horizon line is tipped gives me the impression that he's busy right now. Whatever he's up to, whatever the next plan is, he's busy right now. Like he's on the move. He's not a still life. He's not just posing. He's on the move. So it really adds to the it's sort of kinetic feel of this piece. Now, both the sort of sky field, which is this beautiful sunburst behind him, that's done in this very fine pattern, right? Very interesting pattern. It almost looks like fire behind him, right? Super cool. Super cool. And then the ground is done in a less graphic way, more, it's very shaded, right? It's very shaded under his body. Lots of color change. It almost looks like a fine carpet. Almost looks like an etching. He could be crawling along a leaf. He could. Yeah, he could. I wonder if he's that small. Oh my gosh, I have to give you the name for this one. I wonder if he's that small, this little puff. This is hooked by Amy Lou Robin of Provo, Utah, USA. Absolutely beautiful. Very, very smart choices with the composition because it is a fairly simple background. Two different ideas, right? Handling the top and bottom differently and then tipping it the way that the horizon is on that diagonal. Really smart. Really smart. You know, I might be in a situation sometime when my only problem with my composition is um, all I need to do is tip the horizon line. It could happen, right? It happened here. This is just brilliant. Yeah, he could be on a little leaf, and that wouldn't be flat, like the ground would be flat. Absolutely precious. Another really cute guy here. I think this is the first one. Yep, this is the first one. Black swallowtail caterpillar. And here comes the poem. They began as larvae the size of a dot. They become quite large, so they eat quite a lot. 4 to 5 times their skin will be shed, each time colors changing, or so it is said. To keep them from becoming something you eat, they secrete smelly odor like bad stinky feet, preferring to eat things that are green like parsley, dill, and all things in between. Now, let's see who hooked this one. This is Alice. Oh, the cover image is one too. We should look at that. Alice, you know what? Let me just change my glasses. My glasses are not good for text. Let's see. Alice Bespoco of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. So again, this little cutie is black swallowtail caterpillar. Another another super beaut. So detailed. I think if you were picking up one of these patterns, um, some people keep jumping spiders as pets. I have seen that on Facebook, Rita. It, it's hard to imagine, but I mean, I know that people love reptiles and bugs. I know my daughter is one of those people. So, yeah, it's not like it's not like it would freak me out if one lived in this house. But I, I would be very uncomfortable going to bed if it was like at large, that kind of thing. But I do get that they're beautiful and they have a lot to offer. And I wish that I was the kind of person who could just touch them and be comfortable. Because there is a lot of beauty here. And this little devil sheds its coat what was it, 3 or 4 times? And no, 4 to 5 times, and changes color. I mean, that's an interesting creature who's able to do this. Now, with all of these insects, wouldn't you think that if you were designing one, your main, I don't want to say problem, but your main challenge would be, what am I going to do with the background? And I suppose depending on who is hooking the piece, Susan, good to see you. Happy Friday. Depending on who's hooking the piece, it could be a question of, I want to do a detailed background. I want to do an abstract background. I want to do no background. I want to, I want to do something that I imagine in the background versus I want to research, for example, where this character lives and what he eats kind of thing. And then I want to put that in the background. There really are so many choices. After you have a drawing of the creature, right? There are so many things yet to decide. And in all of these cases, as beautiful as each creature is, in all of these cases, the background really does matter, doesn't it? It really sets off the piece. And I imagine that that was quite difficult, respectively for each person to figure out. Now, this is an interesting piece because we are working on a diagonal again. And that's smart. It's doing a couple of the things that we talked about. We're working on a diagonal and the antennae are breaking the border again. Dan says, is that striping on the border hooked in alternates or is it binding? I think that is hooked. I think that is black and white hooked in alternates. The that I forget what they call that stitch. What is that stitch called in McGowan language? The black and white. I always say peppermint, but I don't think that's the official name of the stitch. But yes, that is an alternating black and white. And that really adds a lot, doesn't it? Because it really um, correlates to the black spots on the black swallowtail caterpillar. And it's like there is something about this creature, right? This is another one that looks very cute. His antennae are almost look like bunny ears, bead stitch. Yeah, maybe beading. Thank you. Okay, beading. His antennae look like bunny ears. He looks a bit lethargic, right? He doesn't look like he's suddenly going to take off running and get on you, right? He doesn't look like that kind of a bug. He looks like Slinky in that he moves slow, right? It's another beautiful creature. I love the abstract nature of the flowers that are hooked in the background, and that is that is what am I trying to say? Not quilly, but standing wool. That is standing wool in the background. The stems that you're seeing, they must be sewn, right? It must be a piece folded in half and the edges sewn down. So you're seeing like the backbone, you're seeing the fold that is making up the stems standing, and then it's hooked around it, right? So that to me looks like what that technique is. And isn't that interesting and a great idea? Because you see the standing wool in that dark army green. I'm seeing it in a textured green wool, and I'm also seeing it in that more pistachio color on the like northeast corner. So lots of different greens, warmer greens, cooler greens, and the character himself or herself is super, super colorful. And that's really what you want to highlight. Seeing these purple flowers against these sort of acid greens, these chartreuse kinds of greens, is very, very striking. There is something mysterious about the background, and seeing the standing wool, I think, is such a great asset as opposed to just hooking everything, because it is giving us perspective, right? That this little guy, as big and fat as he looks, must be quite small, because look at how tall he is in comparison to like little flowers that are coming up around him. He's a little guy. He's not like the creature from the Black Lagoon, is he? So another stunning composition, another um, example of a really brilliant background. Does anybody know more about the way that this challenge was rolled out? Does anybody know, for example, were there any sort of gatherings online where people were able to brainstorm? Um, Things like, what are you going to do for that? Or I'm wondering if there was any kind of conferring, or if there were any guilds who took on a number of them. So like, 10 people from this guild are doing whatever, because then you get to kind of confer and solve these problems. An insect is a tiny little thing, isn't it? And like I just said it, there must have been a lot of, if it were me, I would have immediately gone, okay, beautiful, colorful insect, good. And then I would have drawn the insect and thought, oh crap, well, what am I going to put in the background? Right? And I bet a lot of people hit that immediately and maybe thought, oh, what should I be doing this, right? Am I going to be able to solve this problem? But as you can see, the problem is solved in every instance, and solved in a really unique and clever way. Here is the rhinoceros beetle. His poem reads like this: this beetle becomes a remarkable size and has a large horn out in front of its eyes. The adult eats fruit, nectar, and sap. Would you want one to sit on your lap? 800 times their weight they can lift. Whoa. It really is an incredible gift. These bugs live on all of the world's great land masses, except where it's too cold for tasty green grasses. Well, they got to eat, right? They got to eat to live. The rhinoceros beetle is such a curious thing, isn't it? It looks like he's carrying like some kind of a medieval axe on his face. 800 times his body weight. I mean, even 8 times sounds remarkable. 800 times his body weight. Let's see who hooked this little treasure. um, Eriko Hashimoto of Tokyo, Japan. Now, here's another example of perfection. I mean, we have got this sort of almost photorealism in this bug, so well hooked. Because I think another layer of difficulty with this character is its color, right? It's not like a multicolored one. We're not looking at peacock colors here. We're looking at something that has limited colors, and yet you still need to be able to give it sort of demarcation lines. You want to give it shape and not just have it be a blob. And the way that this is accomplished here is with shading, really clever, deep shading, right? Lots of tones of the same color going to black, black to quite light. And it really is in keeping with the beetle, because you know that they're shiny bodies, right? It gives me the heebie-jeebies thinking about it. But they are glossy, right? They are so remarkable to look at, because they are this like impossible shininess to them. It is beautiful in a way, and these guys don't bug me too much. I can't get a feel for how big they are, because I'm thinking he has potential to be quite big. I love this composition and some of the things that we've been talking about. This is a very the emphasis on the bug, right? It's a very severe type of a bug. Its body is round. It's got these very angular legs, sharp, pointy tips, right? Very useful to this beetle, the rhinoceros beetle. Um, he's not a colorful thing. He's not a particularly beautiful thing. He's a very curious looking thing. It is a great Goretti, absolutely. It is a great vehicle to put him on a tree that might be like a birch or an aspen or maybe something else, a light tree like this. It's a great vehicle because we immediately have this incredible contrast, making the whole background these lovely soft colors, realistic colors, because it is quite realistic. It manages to be both realistic and very, very soft. Nothing is out of focus, right? Nothing is even on soft focus, but the background is very, very soft, very lush looking. And he's very striking and he's quite sharp looking, right? So there is great contrast color wise and shape wise with what you're seeing for the landscape and what you're seeing in the bug's body. And the tree is just the perfect place to um, stick them. The tree is at a little bit of a diagonal too. So we have some drama going on with the tree that is at a little bit of an angle, just like nature. And then the horizon line is perfectly flush with the horizon. And you're seeing some trees in different colors, right? You're seeing great texture, kind of that quilted countryside. The puffiness of the clouds is really adding to the soft feel of the landscape here. But the tree itself is very graphic, very detailed, and the bug is just done in outrageously great color shading, right, to give that body form and color highlights. Might be a twig zoomed up close. It could be a tiny little thing. I don't know. I don't know. If anybody knows, let me know if this is a giant monster or if this is just like an itty bitty little guy. Absolutely beautiful piece. I mean, you can see these are all beautiful pieces. And it's the way that each one is handled that makes this so interesting to look at. This is the cuckoo wasp, as you can see. Like the cuckoo bird, this wasp does nest. By laying its eggs in uninvited guest, emerging as larvae, they become quite rude by eating the eggs of their host as the food. Solitary insects that live alone, climate preferred a subtropical zone. If feeling threatened, they make themselves small, protecting and curling up into a ball. The cuckoo wasp. Yeah, cuckoos do that too. Isn't that awful? But that's what they do. They steal. They steal and eat. This is a beautiful one. Let me see who made this one. Krista Schmidt of Windsor, Nova Scotia, Canada. Such a beauty. Now, this one is so different, and you can see the choices in this composition as well. Now, the text is fantastic with this. We've seen some nice text on these pieces. This is like a typewriter text, right? It draws me right in because it really reminds me of an old typewriter. The cuckoo wasp is colorful and the body is complicated, right? While I'm looking at it, I'm not sure myself where its little face is. I'm guessing it is on the bottom. It's the blue thing that's curled under on the bottom left, like he's upside down, like an embryo. That would be my guess. It's a strange looking creature. It's a complicated creature. It's a colorful creature. And if you're choosing a creature like this, you can't do a crazy background or a complicated background or a landscape background. You just can't, can you? This is the right thing to make the emphasis on the colors of the bug, right? And the shape of the bug because it is really complex. And this is not one, if somebody said to you, you're playing Pictionary with your friends, right, having some drinks, and you pull the card that says cuckoo wasp, what are you're going to pass on that? That's a no-brainer, right? Nobody knows what a cuckoo wasp looks like. Now we do, because this is such a faithful this has been articulated in such a realistic way. This is going to and does work best with a dark background. Not completely dark, and that's what I think makes it fantastically interesting. We're seeing a little bit of sort of antique black lightening up in the top. But sorry for the yawning. I've had several nights of not sleeping well, but I'm perfectly awake and excited. You get to see all of those little sort of hairs. I'm sure that's the wrong word. What are those things called? Um, you know, in contrast, like these tiny little sort of not follicle. What are those little hairs called? Are they follicles? You get to see them in very sharp contrast against the black. That really helps this piece because it goes from being a bug that is tricky to look at, tricky to read, to being something that looks abstract and that is interesting and engaging to look at. This is a very dramatic presentation of a very complicated and beautiful little body. New Moon says, do they tell the size? No, they don't tell the sizes of the piece. It is incredible, an incredible level of detail. Bristles, possibly bristles, possibly. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what they call them when they're for feelers. Like, what do they call like human nose hairs? Are those still like called hairs? Strange. Things I don't think about. Things that make you go, huh? Like cilia. That's it, Mimi. Cilia. That's it. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. That's what I. This might not be the right word, but that is the word from way back when that I was hoping to find. Thank you. Yeah, I think all of these words work. But I mean, we can see that they are very, very fine. There's lots of bits and pieces here. This is a tough piece, and it came out great. I mean, this is such an expert piece. The hooking and also the text, right, is so stunning. Rita says rhinoceros beetle in real life. So the last one we saw, the one that was on the tree, is 1.5 to 3 inches long. 1.5. Do I have? Yeah, I do. Oh, my ruler is under coffee. I won't do that. So about 1.5. Oh, that's a big beetle, right? Because that could actually be like that, right? Ah, Jiminy Cricket, that could be bigger. That's more like 2 inches. Could be 3 inches. Whoa. Okay, now I'm getting the heebie-jeebies. Could be a big beetle. Yeah, that's a biggie. Thank you for that. That really is helpful. So we are, we're not getting the information about the, how was it hooked, what materials were used, all the details, because this book really is about the beauty of what these things look like, and the emphasis is on what is. Let's look at the mat. How beautiful is this mat? How beautiful is this creature? Let's look at it together. That's where the emphasis is, not so much on like what size was it hooked in and what size is the piece. And I know that is interesting and pertinent information, because if you're saying to yourself, how is there that much detail? Is this hooked fine? It's always interesting to know that is not present in this book. But we get a lot of other really inspiring things in this book, like the poems that are so cute. And the poems tell us a lot about what that bug does, right? I mean, I'm blown away. Mouse sized. Oh yeah, it is a mouse sized beetle. It is definitely. Woo! Somehow a mouse doesn't bother me at all, but the rhinoceros beetle. Of course, he does have that medieval axe on his head, and that's making him bigger too, isn't it? Now, wow, what what a piece this is. Honeybee. So this is a familiar friend to all of us. This is Honeybee. Um, with just one queen to lead the way, they search for nectar through the day. The work of this industrious brood fills our homes and plates with food. Their beating wings create a sound, the buzzing as they fly around. A hive, a hive of hexagon honeycomb is where they work, and a place to call home. Oh, that is beautiful. That is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. This is a piece of utter realism. This is such a romantic piece. Oh, Karen says Krista Schmidt, who did that piece we were just looking at, did the amazing octopus that was at Tigger. Oh, I remember that octopus. I remember that. Let me see if I can pull it up real fast on my phone. I feel like I'm going to have to run and pee. I'm so sorry. I never make pit stops during the show, and I just went. It was that dang chai. I might have to leave you with the fire, like that TV channel that's the fire. Teddy, 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 Teddy bear. Let me see if I can find Krista's octopus real fast. I thought Teddy might entertain you if his pants are up and his shirt is buttoned. Just for a second. I can be super. Oh, I'm getting the shivers. I gotta go. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find Krista's octopus. Do you remember the octopus, everyone? That was bonkers. Okay, I have my thing on airplane, just so we don't get those 50 wind-up calls in the course of an hour, right? Um, Krista, oh no, I need to put her last name too, Schmidt. Yeah, this is it, right? I somehow pictured it more three-dimensional. Is that the one? Is that the one we're talking about? It is absolutely gorgeous. Oh, I'm getting the shivers. I will be right back. I am so sorry. I never make a pit stop. I'm going to leave you with the fire for 1 second, and I will be back in under a minute. And I am going to wash my hands. Are you? You want to say hi on camera? Oh, Teddy, I have to pee so bad. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Tell me when you're done. All right. I'm going to have to hold it because our man is in there, and he let me know, and uh, a phrase that I can't repeat. It's going to be a while. So that's okay. Walking a little bit helped. Um, yeah, this is grand. Translucent wings. I know it, right? This is an extraordinary character here, the honeybee. And one of the things I love about this, the realism I love about this piece, when you see these bees, um, you don't always clock just how. Now we're going to do the search for language again. Whatever, hairs, fibers, cilia, bristles, whatever the body's made up of, it does, when you see them close up, they do look shaggy and furry, don't they? This really captures that. And we're seeing this beautiful veining in these translucent wings, Kanga. Great to point out those wings. He's busy at work on this flower. What I really love about this piece is that it's gorgeous, right? The realism is gorgeous. Um, when I think of a honeybee, right, I guess I think of the low-hanging fruit, and I think of brightly colored flowers, maybe a sunflower, brightly colored summer flowers. And the colors of these, the background of this is such a romantic palette, pinks and grays, right? It is so different than what I would have thought. And incredibly, these beautiful, soft, romantic colors really set off this little black and yellow body. And who knew? I would never have dared to do this color palette. But there is something, a bit even sensual about the folds of the flowers. I'm not saying that it is erotica, it is by no means. But there is something about it that is, it has a very Victorian feel to me. It reminds me of 100 still lifes that I've seen painted, but never done like this in fiber, and certainly not in hooking. This is so astonishing. I love the sort of marble, almost like watered silk in the background, right? That's done in pinks and grays. And I love seeing I don't know if the word stamen is already plural, but stamen or stamens, it must be plural, right? Of that flower on the left, right? And the one that he's in the center of, busy foraging in there. Just the patterning and the detail and the chance to see more of the little black dit dots. So beautiful. Gosh, it's a pretty piece, isn't it? Mm, gorgeous. So that is Honeybee. Wait a minute, did I say who did Honeybee? Hold on. Let me come into the back. Stop me if I missed something. No, I missed it. No, wait a minute. Changing the glasses here. Dana, um, no, I always struggle with this. Psoinas. I would say Soinus, maybe Dana Soinus. I apologize if that's wrong. I'm certain it is. Of Woodbury, New York. Absolutely astonishing piece. They are all astonishing, and you see what I mean, why this book is so coveted and desirable. Um, Everybody's piece is so different. And you see what I was saying at the beginning of the episode, like you see bugs, and we're sort of like hardwired to see a bug and either or see a bug and ugh, but you're seeing bugs differently. Like it's really, this project presents us with huge examples, right? Because if you saw the rugs in person, you saw huge examples of close-ups of these bugs, and it does pose the question, the eternal question to you as an artist, as a person who appreciates beauty, right? And hopefully the natural world, it does pose that eternal question, like, what is beauty, right? Because we're all smart people too, right? I believe that hookers are smart people, right? It's that the technical balanced with the creativity that gives us like the best of both worlds. I think that we're curious people, and this really hits a sweet spot, being able to look at these bugs in such great detail and to be able um, to look at them as things of beauty. And that's not how we normally think about bugs, right? Not in our culture anyway. That's one of the things that's so interesting about this. How is the translucent technique achieved? Well, let's look at this right here. When you're doing so, I'm not a person who does realism, right? That's not the kind of hooking I do. But I've done it in other mediums, like in painting. When you're doing something that is translucent, you need to think about, and this includes water, you need to think about what the texture of the surface is, right? Whether it's water or wings or whatever, or a garment, right? A scarf, whatever. What the texture of the surface is. Is it smooth? Is it rippled? Right. With this, it's a bit textured. It's a bit bumpy. So that needs to be um, um, that information needs to be recorded in the line drawing, right? That it's not smooth and flat. Once you have that down, you need to put the overlay. What's the next set of data that needs to be in the wing, the translucent part? It's the veining, right? I know what the texture is going to look like, right? So I've got like some folds drawn where it's going to bend and fold and ripple. Now I need to get the veining in. So you get the veining in and the outer shape, right? The shape of the wing, like the border of the wing. Now you've got your line drawing, and it's a question of where do I plug the colors in? And you need to be thinking about how translucent you want it. If you want it more translucent, you're using more white. If you want it less translucent, you're using more gray and more the colors in the wings besides white are the gray, just the gray, which is the next evolution of the white, right? White to gray, right? So the dark, like the darker parts of the wing, but you're also seeing in areas the gray underneath because the background is gray and pink. So you need to pick up those grays and pinks in the translucent wing. If it's completely translucent, that's hard to do. Then you're looking at a tiny amount of veining and the perimeter being hooked, so you're getting the shape of the wing. But this is kind of semi, isn't it? It's not completely see-through, but it's see-through enough that you see hints of the pink flower where the pink flower occurs and a little bit of the gray where the gray occurs. You can see there is an effort through the wing to get a little bit of white in, to get a little bit of gray, which is just the darker shadow of the white wing, but you're also seeing an effort to get the gray background color and the pink background color. It needs to be planned, doesn't it? Oh, good morning, Gail. Great to see you. Happy morning in Australia. I hope you're waking up to a beautiful morning. Anything with a translucent effect. And again, think of things you've seen that show the surface of the water. It's the same thing. Do you go the route of Monet? Is there movement on the water? Is there the morning breeze, right? Is there movement? Are there ripples? Same thing with something like wings. Those are the first things that need to be decided because otherwise, you would just be hooking the veining and the outline and it would look graphic. With a piece like this, it's way too realistic for that. You really need very hot. Oh, Gail, we're getting the opposite. Gradient colors. So it depends. Gradient colors are possibilities. So when we talk about gradient colors, we're talking about, for example, if you think about what a swatch set looks like, let's go away from this example and go to something simpler. Like let's take a swatch set that's green. Let's take a swatch set that goes from like really light minty green to forest green. So the color is forest green. Let's say it is Cushing forest green or Dharma forest green. And let's say it has 8 values or 10 values or 12 values. It's only forest green, right? It's the one color. Whatever the recipe is, it's the one recipe. And it goes from a very dark saturation, meaning version of the forest green, to a very, very light. And all the colors in between. There can be 8 swatches that make up that gradient set, or there could be 1,000, right? Somebody somewhere has dyed 1,000 gradients of the same color. Somebody crazy has done that. Probably some poor person that was in some kind of bondage making a tapestry in the 1300s. Seriously. But it can be done. So when you think about gradients, you think about one color that goes from dark to light. With something like this, you would need the white, right, to get some kind of opacity, and you would need gray just to be the shadow to the white, at least one gray. So I think you would need a minimum of, that's the wing color. Forgetting about the color that you see through the wing that makes the wing transparent, that's just the wing color, is like a little bit of white and at least one value of a shadow to the white. So there's the wing. But then whatever color you want to put under the wing, I don't think you necessarily would need a gradient for this project because um, it is fairly, it's semi-transparent, but it still has some opacity. So we're not seeing realism through the wing. We're just seeing a hint of the little bit of the pink or a little bit of the gray. So I would say rather than a gradient, just more of the pink and gray are necessary to kind of mix in with the wing, the white and the gray for the wing. If it were a larger piece, and maybe it is, you'd be looking at a lot more gradients to support the colors that you're seeing underneath. If you were going to do water this way, you would need a lot, you would need gradient sets or to at least have gradient support colors that you could see through. But in this case, they're just opaque enough that they're still reading as white with a little bit of color sneaking through. It's a great way to do the wing, and that's a great question to ask. Now, what I just described is the technical way of doing it. Does that mean you can sit down and do it tomorrow? No, it still needs a lot of figuring, doesn't it? Whatever project you're doing, even if you're doing bees wings, it still needs figuring. You have to look at your colors and think about how opaque you want that motif to be. But I think what I'm trying to get across is I don't think it's as hard as it seems. It's just a question of asking yourself the right questions in the right order and making sure you have the colors to support it, right? And Kanga says, I assume this was done from a photograph. When I paint this technique, I look at the actual colors in 2D, the actual colors, not what you think should be there, thinking in tones. That's a great point. That's a great point. And you know what? I don't know. But I agree with you. They have to be working from photographs in this book. What else, right? Because you need so much data to execute these line drawings, but also to get the answers to these questions. Now, the bee is done in great realism. It is intricate is a great word for the way that the bee is done. Uh, The flowers are done with a good degree of realism too, but they do have this kind of impressionist swish happening, and that makes them a little bit different than the bee. They're a little bit softer, more velvety than the bee. They're a little bit more stylized for me than the bee, although we do see a lot of color change. It's just a different handling. The tones was your next question. Yeah. So, it's almost like we were talking about soft focus before in one of the past ones. When you have a photograph that does have soft focus in the background, the photograph does the heavy lifting for you automatically because you're seeing the motif, in this case, the honeybee, really close up. And then the next thing you're seeing in semi-focus are the flowers, right? So we see a little bit of stylization in the flowers, and that's what gives them that velvety, that very supple look. And in the distance, we get the gray is giving us that, I said it looks like watered silk or something, is giving us more of the soft focus. And those 3 degrees or those three um, sort of distances that we're getting from looking at this further cements and supports the realism in the bee, right? The fact that we're seeing depth because there's 3 different focuses in this one piece, it makes the bee stand out all the more. Because even when you look at that flower on the left and you see the stamen coming out on the bottom left, that is still it's a little bit out of focus. And that would say to me, just as a guess, right? Yeah, I think this must be done from a photograph. I think these all must be done from a photograph. It's absolutely bonkers, isn't it? I would do it in color pencil first and then line them out in minute color blocks. Absolutely. Technical is better, right? Getting all of those things sorted is better. And I do think that the surface is the shape, right? Maybe the shape is the first thing to decide, but the surface is the next thing to decide because if you're giving something translucent, a flat surface, whether it's a wing or let's use water again as an example. If it has a flat surface, then you can see a lot more in it, right? If it has an agitated surface, like the bee's wing is a little bit bent and it's a little bit bumpy, it's a textured wing. It's not a flat wing. Because it's a textured wing, it catches light. So we see the actual like the whiteness of the wing and the veining of the wing. We're seeing that because it's not a flat surface. If it is a flat surface like water, when you're in a rowboat and you're still for a while and you look down at the water, if the water is perfectly still, you can see everything under you. And then you really do need a lot of colors because you can see everything through it. If the water is a little bit agitated because there's a tiny breeze or a dragonfly just landed, you can't see everything under it anymore. So then we're talking about a textured surface. Then we need to add white or gray, the color that we're seeing through. It becomes a film or a filter. And then there's less colors to see under because they're being a little bit masked by a not flat surface, by a textured surface. That's a really important angle. Mimi says, I think she had said Dana. This piece was Dana. Yes. Thank you for spelling it. This piece was Dana, the honeybee. Um, yes, the honeybee. Let me run to the bathroom. I'm going to give you the fire. I will be right back, I promise. And is it a good enough? It's not a good enough fire. I'm going to give you the next piece instead. I will be right back. In under a minute, you can start oohing and awing over this next stunner. There we go. I will be right back. Teddy, you were supposed to tell me when he came out. You ding dong. All right. Well, he did insinuate he was going to blow up the bathroom, and indeed he did. Okay, so let's look at this one. Gosh, is it already 8:30? Does anyone want to talk about beading? LOL, and how that's done. Yeah, let's talk about beading. Let's go back to the beaded one. Let's talk about all the things that that are worth that we want to talk about. Might as well. That's why we're here, right? Let's talk about beading. So let's come back. Let me find that one again, and then we're going to come to this one, and we can spread this out over multiple episodes. We don't, too fast. Hi, Joe, Gail. Um, um, I'm just going to put it out there. Hold on, because this beading is an interesting thing to talk about. Let me just come back over here real fast. Let me see if it was. Hold on. We'll just say, because I know we've got some teachers here who know about the beading. This one here. So this one had, right, this is this was swallowtail caterpillar, right? Wasn't that him? Let me make this larger for you. This is what that beading looks like. So I know that I knew this at one point. My buddy Rebecca from Storyteller Wool showed me how to do this. I feel like I maybe do it wrong. I literally just alternate. When I have done this, I have two active strands in the background and I just grab them alternately and hook with them. Is there a better way to do it? I know there's some McGowns out there watching. Is there a better way to get this beading to happen than just alternating it? I suppose you could also just hook it with little holidays in between and just sneak in sideways to pull the other ones in the gaps. Is there, other than those two really obvious ways of doing it, is there a fancy way of doing it? I'm going to leave this one here and we can remember that this is number 4. And if someone answers that question, I'll come back over there. Hold on, let me see. Oh, no, too far, too far. Hold on. Okay, here we go. In the meantime, I just mentioned this guy by accident. Here comes Dragonfly. This is Dragonfly, and like this is a great conversation for right now. So, uh, bearing in mind what we just were talking about, Dragonfly, I see a lot of these when I go to Cape Cod, and man, they scare me because they will land like right on you, and I would never hit one or anything like that. I do love them and they're beautiful, but they are very curious. Now, think to yourself, bearing in mind the conversation we just had about the transparency of these wings, right? There is some transparency here, but these wings, wait a minute, these are not hooked. These can't be hooked, right? Rebecca's book has a great lesson on beading. She has you do two strands at once, alternating between them. Okay. So that is the way. And it's great. I always love to tout my buddy Rebecca's book. She'll be back with us in July when she comes up for her McGowan North thing, and we'll get together and do a show together then. It's not lumpy at all. No, I think this must be applique. Let me make this bigger because I can't see it from where I've got it on my screen. Let me make this. You know what? Let's do the poem first and the attribution, and then I'm going to make that bigger because I think that has to be an applique wing. Hold on one second. Dragonfly is hooked by Deb Sved or Swed, SZWED of Taylor, Michigan. Absolutely beautiful piece. Dragonfly. Here comes the poem. Their vivid colors do abound. It darts and dashes all around. They like to live near ponds and lakes. It's said they can revive a snake. Really? 360 degrees they see with their eyes. Oh, that's interesting. Which help catch tiny mosquitoes and flies. Good job. Good job, guys, by the way, on the mosquitoes. Catching their prey in mid-flight, they truly are a wondrous sight. This one is done in couplets. Very, very pretty. They really are wondrous. This is a beautiful composition. Whenever I see a cattail, I'm so in love with cattails. They do kanga. It does look like a sheer overlay. Absolutely. Cool. I wondered on my last rug, I struggled with it. Um, don't know what I'm doing. No, hey, you know what, Diane? None of us know what we're doing. We figure it out. And once you figure out how to do something, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. I can only speak for myself. Doesn't mean that you remember how to do it the next time. I figure things out and I think, what a breakthrough. Look at me go. Mwah. And then like 6 months later, I'm like, how the hell did I do that? I have no memory of it. Like, no, I mean, it's the same as reading books, right? It's just like, I forget the ending. Um, we all figure it out as we go along. We're all seat of the pantsers. So it's worth talking about it just to remind ourselves, all of these little tricks. Yeah, the average person has to hear something. What is it, like 7 times before you really know it? And that's at least true, if not more than 7. Catherine said, my grandfather used to take me on a tour of his backyard garden and warn me that dragonflies sew lips together. I remember that too. I remember hearing that too. Isn't that funny? And as soon as it said that they could see 365 degrees with their eyes, it made me think about art galleries that I've been to where they sell those kinds of kaleidoscopes that are called the dragonfly. Do you remember these? I remember like in the 90s seeing them. They were always in galleries on the Cape. And I had a dragonfly, and I think I bought a dragonfly for my sister. And it was like a little kaleidoscope that had like a round lens to it. And man, that thing was like so trippy to look at because it was apparently what a dragonfly's eye can see. It was so cool. Just reminded me of that great memory too. I think we're all dying of curiosity. This is a beautiful composition. Let's just talk about the composition before we look at the wings. I love the diagonal feel of the dragonfly exiting the frame on the diagonal. Again, very smart to use a diagonal with an insect because it does imply motion. What else is going on here? Well, we're seeing a very abstracted pond in a really unusual color. It is like a dusty blue color, isn't it? Like it's a curious color for the water, and I'm in love with this color, right? It's like almost like a colonial blue. Really nice choice, really colorful blue. And we're seeing lily pads and lily flowers, blossoms on the surface. We're seeing cattails coming up. So we are seeing a beautiful abstract background. We're seeing the insect on the diagonal, and we're seeing some very strong verticals. The cattails, the very filigree black little stems coming out isn't that gorgeous? It's like a skeletal little black stem, but it is doing a lot of work in the background quietly to make this piece have drama. We are seeing things on the vertical and we're seeing the motif on the diagonal. And yes, I agree, the composition is perfect. It's really clever because we are seeing kind of a what you would call in quilting terms a scatter of motifs in the background, right? The main character is the dragonfly, but we are seeing different kinds of plants and lily pads, and they are scattered in an irregular pattern and they are colorful. But what is holding the whole thing together is that diagonal, the drama of the dragonfly quickly leaving the frame because you know how fast they move, and the opposing drama of those verticals holding it all still for us, right? It's holding it in place for a split second while we get a chance to look. Now let's look at the wings of this creature. And it's still a good conversation about what is translucent, how much translucent. Yes, this is gorgeous applique. It is like a synthetic that you would get at like the craft store, right? And it looks like the edges are done on a serger, like a very fine serger. It is the kind of fabric that you would find, it could be a little bit holographic. It is the kind of fiber that you would find if, hey, if Joann's was still open in the costume or the fancy dress aisle, because this would be the kind of overlay that you would put on like a prom gown or a ball gown or something like that. Really, really lovely. It is quite sheer, right? You wouldn't, unless you were walking the red carpet, you wouldn't just turn up with this with nothing under it. It is more opaque than we saw on the honeybee, but you still can see through it, of course. And in this case, this is a great idea, appliquing it because it gives us this three-dimensional quality. It also looks like his little body is a little bit Waldoboro. Are you feeling that too? I feel like that the top, close to his head, that puff, is Waldoboro, and it looks to me like it's clipped. So not looped, but clipped. I mean, I can see that the rest of it is looped. Cattails are used for food, medicine, and for crafting. I love cattails, and I am blessed to have them on your property. We had some of the largest dragonflies I've ever seen in my life last season. That is a gift right there. I love seeing both of those things, and yes, I love cattails too, and I love it when they're like busting. All their cotton is busting out. I remember when I was a tour guide, we would do a lot with Native American history, and I would always, particularly out west, talk about how cattails were used for women for like in place of like a pad, but also for babies as a diaper. They would like take the cotton out of the cattails and stuff it between the baby's little legs, and it would be a diaper until they used it up, and then they would be looking for more cotton to absorb. But I mean, it has been used. Cattails are just so beautiful, and they're so subtle. I just love. They don't show off. I just love the utilitarian quality of them, and I love the sort of the swampy places where you find them. So beautiful, such a gorgeous piece. Another gorgeous piece. Moving on to our next gorgeous piece. This is another winged character. This is the elephant hawk moth. This is an electric piece, isn't it? What is the head eyes done in? Let's go back and check before we move on. The head and eyes. Let's come back over, and I'm going to stretch it a little bit more. Remember, this is a photo of a photo. So I will lose quality, but let's see what we can figure out before I lose too much quality. Yeah, I think it's just wool. Oh, you mean the head. Oh, I see. Are those beads? Those might be beads. Um, yeah, I think those are beads. Could they be like Yeah, I think they're beads. I thought for a minute it was like a dark pearl, like a black pearl. Could be a black pearl. Hard to tell. It's either like a little bit like a the the head one, the single one looks very smooth, like a metal bead. But the other two look a little bit hammered, which made me think, are they like more like a freshwater pearl, or they could just be like little hammered metal beads. Sharon says they are all gorgeous, but I love this one. It's also, yeah, Sharon, it's what speaks to you, right? The pink and the gray. Yeah, what do you think? Do you think that's beads? Dan says, did Michaels buy out Joanne's fabric quilting cotton? I saw a sign in my store saying that they were going to be selling and collaborating. I saw that too, that they were selling Joanne's inventory. I had the same question. And you know what? I haven't been to Michaels or Joanne's. See, the thing that makes me wonder is like the Michaels that I have here now that we've moved. Um, there was never a Joann's here. Like it was only ever Michael's and they never had fabric. So it makes me wonder whether that one would have fabric because their store is already complete. Like it's all configured and they never had a fabric section. So I wonder if they would try to fit one in. Whereas, for example, where I moved from, there was a Joann's and a Michael's very close together. I could definitely see them because people were used to going to that plaza to get the fabric from Joann's. So if it moved over to Michael's, that would make sense. I'm curious too about what's going to happen next with that. Because I do think about that. Like next time I need fabric and things like that, it's yeah, I've just got Michael's here now. So let me know if you all see changes happening with that. I'd like to know what's going on in different parts of the country. I'd like to be able to tell people with some reliability, like what where they can find their stuff, right? Rita says, "Oh my, I have one cattail. I better save its fur. It'll make more next time, right? They are just so beautiful and so tactile, right? Let me know what you think these are. To me, I feel like they are beads. And I love the applique nature of that piece. And I love the three-dimensional quality of this piece. Can you tell what this background is? Because even though I've got my stupid glasses, and I still can't see anything, I can tell what this background material is. Take a close look here. This is the elephant hawk moth. Here comes his poem. Since they have such incredible sight, these creatures prefer to eat mostly at night. Feeding on nectar of night-scented flowers, darting about, it constantly scours. Their power of flight is incredibly strong, with fast-beating wings that can hover quite long. Insects with bright colors kept predators at bay. But for these bugs, it's to blend in with fuchsia by day. Yeah, this is a really curious moth, isn't it? Talk about colorful. I love the wildness of this piece. Let's see who hooked Elephant Hawk Moth. This is Graham Hollick of London, England. The background is Proddy. I'm going to make this a little bigger right out of the gate because I will say for this piece, we've got something really cool going on. This is a composition made up of multiples. We've got one main character and we've got four supporting characters. We're seeing different viewpoints. So we're seeing how this same creature, how the same bug looks from different angles. And that's good information. So we're seeing a multiple of 5 happen here and really graphic, cool, blocked, bold font that says elephant, hawk, moth. It's not all matchy matchy. It's not all symmetry. I love the sort of off the cuff way that it's diagonal, that the font is quite informal. I like the blocking of it. It's very vibrant, right? It's very hip looking. Now, this is hooked. I'm going to make this bigger, so get ready to ride. I can see for sure fleece, like polar fleece. At least I think I can. Hang on. Yeah, that's polar fleece. So it might be that there's, yes, and it's all Pradi because Pradi doesn't have to be, I think the definition of Pradi is shaped wool that you pull through, for height, right, for high relief. But I'm not sure that that definition really is an ideal one because um, the word shaped is misleading. Prati can be done as strips, as this is done with strips. Prati can be done in strips just the same as your wool strips for hooking, right? You leave it looped or you pull it through as Prati. And I don't know that you could call a wool strip shaped. So the definition for Prati becomes confusing. But what I do know is that when we see rugs that are older than hooked rugs, like rag rugs from the UK that are done Prati style, we very often see them prodded with strips, wool strips. So that's what we're seeing here too. You know, one thing that polar fleece does that that is different than what wool does is it curls. And I think that's an interesting point because if we're wanting to make a background that looks really lush um, and busy and bohemian, right, like a real wilderness, and you want all those textures coming at you, when you use wool, even Prati, wool behaves in a predictable way, right? It has a certain weight. It's not going to roll in on itself. It's got structure, it's got a memory. Polar fleece does not, right? Polar fleece still has a lot of integrity. It is not going to shred or fray when you pull it through, right? It is not a woven, it is a synthetic, and you're going to pull it through cleanly, but depending on how wide it is going to want to curl unto itself. And that's an interesting sort of facet to the polar fleece because you can see it compared to some of the wool. The wool lays flat like a ribbon. The polar fleece is doing its own thing, man. It's like Sesame Street. One of these kids is doing his own thing, and it's the polar fleece. So when you want a busy background, I'm going to pan out again because I'm sure you can see that fleece is the plaid is different and it's sitting differently than the wool. You can see the wool sticking straight up, right? The wool has a memory. Wool is has a lot of integrity, it's got a lot of structure, and it has a memory, a long memory. It's sticking straight up, but the polar fleece is kind of flapping down and it's curling in on itself. It just looks a little bit different and it hooks a little bit different. Um, Polar fleece is knit stitch, isn't it? No, not usually. Polar fleece is machine stitch, um, but it's not always it's not always interlocking into a knit. I know that sounds crazy, but if you think of what like if you think of fake fur, particularly old fake fur, you know how it has that backing that isn't a knit, right? It's like a texture. Um, um, I think a machine knit, even though there's hundreds of styles of machine knit, if not thousands, a machine knit implies that every stitch has a relationship to another, whereas synthetics, right? Synthetics can be infused with other materials, so that it sticks to itself, like felting wood, like needle felting wood, as opposed to having to be stitched together to stay attached. So I don't know if, like, for example, high quality polar fleece can be done as a knit, but I would think most polar fleece, um, I would think it is not knit. Not this definitely is not my area of expertise. Even with the felt like exactly, even it is polar fleece is a non-woven. Um, Again, there's different kinds of polar fleece. We've got the polar fleece that's like, what do I want to say? Like popcorn, right? That's like textured like popcorn. That is a different base than the polar fleece from Joann's that's like stretchy, that if you wanted to put a hook through it, you can't put a hook through it because it's not a woven, there's nowhere to push through, right? You can make a hole through it if you try hard enough, but it doesn't have junctures where you can find a hole. It's just not made that way. Um, but then again, this is not my area. Constructing garments is my area of expertise, but manufacturing them is not. I can only say what I've noticed sewing with these different kinds of materials. But yeah, I don't think polar fleece is now. Um, it is felt like interesting. I'm curious now. I have so many books on how fabrics are made because and it's a very technical thing. And sometimes the way that a fabric, I have a lot of these books like from the 40s and 50s when mills, post American Industrial Revolution, where mills were just getting fired up. And it became a very big thing in the 30s, 40s, 50s, at least in the US. I think in England too, because what was that movie in England? Um, what was that? The gray flannel suit, right? The gray flannel suit man, right? Wasn't that whole book and movie about the fact that a new way to make fabric was discovered and they patented it and it was a secret? I think that was called the gray flannel suit man. But it was a big thing at that time when companies would figure out a new way to make a fabric. It was a secret, and they could patent the way, whether it was through some kind of fusion or whether it was through a new knit stitch that they had come up with. In some of these old textbooks, for some reason, this is crazy. I'm going to stop. But I found at the Elephant's Trunk, which is our big flea market in Connecticut, I found it's in New Milford, Connecticut. Last year, I found a stall. Somebody died, I'm guessing, and they had a collection of really rare books. Can't say valuable because there's not a big market for them, but they were books from different fiber manufacturers, mills, about all of the secret stitches. And I bought all of them. They were like 50 cents each. And I looked through them a little bit because they had like plates that came out and you could see what the stitches looked like. And to me, it's like, I need like the Rosetta Stone to help me understand what does this mean. As a layman, I just look at it and go, oh, that's weird. That's weird how that stays connected. That's fused, right? That's somehow like heat fused to itself. That isn't actual interconnected knitting stitches, right? They're not attached to each other. It was just really curious to find those kinds of things. They look like freshwater pearls. Yeah, a couple of them did. The man in the gray flannel suit, right? Whoa, I have not seen that for years and years, but I think that's relevant to this crazy conversation we're having. Sorry, I probably went off on a bender there, but it is interesting to think about what materials are near you, what materials you can get, what materials are affordable, right? This is something that I talk about every day with people in emails and stuff. Oh, does that pattern come as a kit? No, it doesn't come as a kit. It comes as a pattern, but I can give you so many ideas about stuff that you can cut up. If you don't want to spend a lot of money on a wool kit, there's so many things that you can cut up that will make um, a beautiful rug. So I am moving on to this character. This is the frog-legged leaf bug. This will be the last one we do tonight, and I'm ashamed to say, like, we've hardly made a dent. Not just, because I didn't have everyone in here, but we hardly made a dent into the show too. Having said that, it is nice to have these conversations and answer questions about how do you do it? What is that, right? How is that composition thought out? It's good to have these conversations too. These all have value. Hello to the frog-legged leaf bug, and here comes his poem. Iridescence in colors of green, blue, and gold make this colorful beetle a sight to behold. And its size? It is large, 1 or 2 inches in length. It likes to eat sap, which gives it strength. In Southeast Asia, amid jungles quite dense, a colony of hundreds can quickly commence. Jeepers! Frog-like legs help this bug cling to vines, where it spins its cocoon and emits mating signs. What a busy little devil we've got here. Isn't this another gorgeous one? This is a similar bug in shape to the who was the bug that was on the tree with the crucifix? The Who was he? Wait a minute. Yeah, the rhinoceros beetle. He's similar in shape, but this one has beefier legs. This one does a lot of leg presses, right? Gail says he's cute. He does have cuteness to him. He reminds me of a scarab a little bit, and I think that's because of the position of his legs and the fact that we can see his legs so well. He does have some serious little muscles, or maybe that's where his webs are coming from, right? Because if you look at the beefiness of his little biceps and his little thighs, they're more inflated than the rest of his body. I bet that's where his webs, his silk or whatever is coming from. I want to look at a close up of this piece too after we study it a little bit. This is such an interesting piece because it combines a couple of things that we talked about tonight. There is symmetry here, right? If you folded this in half, top to bottom, it would be the same on both sides. So this is a very strong composition. This could be a playing card, right? Really strong composition. And what this artist, let's do that before I forget. Let's see who the maker is on this. Gail Dufresne. This is Gail Dufresne of Lambertsville, New Jersey. Beautiful piece. Leave it to her to choose something with such gorgeous colors, right? She is the ultimate color person. So much fun. So this makes a lot of sense to me because there is a lot of black in this bug, but he's also very, yes, Rita, you just said it, iridescent. The iridescent areas look like trapunto. We'll talk about that in just a second. I agree. They do look like trapunto. So the thing about this bug is he is colorful. He's both iridescent and colorful, and he's highly structured. I mean, he could be on a Victorian wrought iron gate outside of a London townhouse, couldn't he? Right? He would fit right in because he has that kind of form. Um, very highly structured, but his shell, if that's the right word, his body is really colorful and iridescent. Now, Gail, being the colorful person that she is, wanted to also have a, I don't want to say a busy background. It's not busy, but you can see that this is a hand painted background material that does have some different colors in it. So we've got color in the motif and we've got color in the background. Diane says a lot of movement considering the layout is static. Absolutely. And that's how it's done, isn't it? We've got color in the body, we've got color in the background. It creates a lot of movement. It's interesting to look at. None of this is boring to look at. We are looking at a piece that immediately strikes you as that's colorful, right? Jessica says the detail and color is amazing. It is amazing. Let's look a little bit closer at this piece and we can talk about, because we are talking about technique as well, can talk about trapunto. Let's look at the background so you can see what kind of material made this up. Like this is a nice hand-painted material. You can see shades of green. You can see well, obviously the white or the natural background. I can see a little bit of pinky purple. I can see a little bit of orange. You see how these colors are blending in a painted. And you know, it is a muted background, but it is still colorful. Some of those warm colors in the background are really picking up on this guy's shell, aren't they? I'm seeing beads in the legs as well. Now, seeing those beads, that is so clever. That's creating some nice patterning. It's resolving the edges of his little teeny tiny feet in such a structured and decorative way, right? The detail that you're seeing in these beads, particularly like the little piped beads, the long skinny ones, that is so perfect for the edges of the little legs because it is resolving into an impossibly small but very structured little line, right? Perfection. And the shape, almost like the heart shape of the beads, is giving us this cascaded feeling like the little joints in the little leg, right? Really clever. I think I'm seeing beads where the eyes go as well. So there are some applique features happening here. And I'm going to close the book over because we can return to this on Monday. Let's talk about trapunto in case you're not familiar with the idea of trapunto. Trapunto is very popular in the 70s. I happen to have, I'll come back and show you this one more time, but let's talk about what trapunto is because it is, why is this light so damn bright? And I've turned it down so many times. Um, in the 70s, trapunto was really popular, right? It had a bit of a renaissance. It is an older technique, and it is a technique that we see in Asian cultures and Eastern European cultures. We see it all over the place, right? Trapunto is not Waldebrow. It is a raised technique. What's happening with trapunto is we are not seeing something hooked higher. I'm talking about this only in a rug hooking context. Something is not hooked higher. Something has a second fabric backing it, and the person is, you are cutting, if you are doing trapunto, let's say the front of it is hooked or the front of it is iridescent material, as is in this case, you are cutting the back of the trapunto, right? Not the front fabric that you're doing hooking or you've appliqued on, the back, right? Which is like scrap material, like muslin or something like that, scrap material, old pillowcase. Buttons needs to go out. You're cutting it, slicing it in the back, a little C-section in the back, and you're stuffing it with cotton or fiber fill or one of those. So I can show you this mouse pad, right? I was afraid that the computer was going to seize up because it was seizing up all day. This is somebody's Snoopy mouse pad in our house. This looks like trapunto, whereas the rest of it is flat, right? This looks like trapunto, and this we know that this is like gel because this is a mouse, but pretend that it's fabric and pretend that this is the raised part of the hooked piece. What's happening here? We happen to be very lucky. This mouse pad, like everything else in this house, is broken and ruined. Whatever, it's everything. It's split in the back, which actually helps us because if this were a trapunto piece, the way that you would get to fill this was have a second layer sewn on the back. You cut it and then you stuff the fabric in there, right? And you could stitch it up again just to be sure it doesn't bust back open. But it's a trick. There is a second material behind it, or like a trap door that you've busted through and you've stuffed it like a stuffed animal, and then you seal it up so it doesn't spill back out. That's trapunto. Easily done. Your mom, Diane, your mom trapuntoed everything. Pillows everywhere, jacket lapels, table runners. My mom trapunto too. My mom did, she did a lot of stained glass in the 70s, but she also did a lot of wax resist stuff like in embroidery hoops, and she would come up with her own designs and do wax resist also, often like Asian women, like geisha type women, beautiful. And then she would trapunto part of the piece and put it in an embroidery hoop. I think I'm getting more fire back there. Oh, interesting. So it's applied down after the stuffing. It could be something has to be covering. So let's use this piece as an example. um, if you think back to some episodes we've done on Grace Collette, right? Grace Collette she belongs to the guilds in like Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire. I think she lives in New Hampshire. She's one of my buddies who I always love to feature when I can be with her. She is very well known in rug cooking for her use of trapunto. Sometimes she trapuntos a hooked field. Like, so let's say she was doing a beetle, she might trapunto the whole beetle. So she's already got it hooked. She attaches material behind it. If it's hooked, you would have to highly, highly, highly stuff it because it's already raised. If you do a subtle trapunto, it's not going to really come out super, super well. It would have to be really, really high relief raised. And if you are going to really high relief something that's hooked, you might want to think of, even though it's hooked, doing an applique, a hooked applique. I know this is getting very detailed, but just try to stick with me and picture this. Just because otherwise, if you don't have a separate applique piece sewn on, that you can kind of what's the right word? Localize, right? You can localize that piece and stuff just that piece. If you don't have it as a separate piece, you will get a slope, right? Like a sloping mountain as opposed to one of the Grand Tetons that's very, very aggressive and abrupt. You would get a slope. So the answer is whether, like what Gail has done here, that's a piece of iridescent material. Maybe it's swimsuit, like stretchy material, who knows? But she's got that sewn to the top, and it might be sewn over the backing fabric. I don't see any benefit to cutting the backing fabric because then you've got a vulnerability that is scary in your backing fabric, right, where the hooking is. I think she probably added this to on top of the backing fabric. She might have just cut the backing fabric and whatever it is, linen, monk's cloth, rug warp, whatever, a tiny cut, right? Stuffed it and then just stitched it back up, right? That would work for this because it's a different fabric. If you want something that's subtle and it's hooked or whatever, you don't necessarily have to create a different pattern piece and apply it, applique it. But if you want something that is a defined shape like this piece, you will need to cut a separate piece. And when you cut a separate piece, you know in the back of your mind that you can go, however, if this is indeed like swimsuit material, it could be really stuffed, right? And the only thing that would limit the how high and how full and how three-dimensional your trapunto piece of your hooking could be, the only thing that would limit that would be whether or not the piece was starting to buckle, whether or not, because it's still attached to the back. If it is part of the backing fabric, if it's attached to the backing fabric, if it's replacing the backing fabric, it doesn't matter. It's still attached to the front, right? It's attached to this piece, this hooked piece. So you can get to a point with height that it becomes so exaggerated and so high that it affects the way that the rest of the piece is sitting. That is the only thing with trapunto that will limit you. And you can even take that into account because, of course, if you want a very high piece of trapunto and you say to yourself, well, what if I cut a, I'm taking this very far, right? What if I cut a pattern piece that was meant to be a very, very tall piece because I want a very high piece of trapunto on this particular pattern? Well, think about what a bra does, right? Sometimes it does like an A cup, but sometimes it does a double D. And the shape of that cup, right? The material, the pieces that make up that cup, right? Um, that has a shape, right? And you can figure that out depending on the shape you want, whether it's like a diamond or a circle or whatever. You know logically that things can have high relief and that fabric can be made to accommodate them. So if you do want something really high relief, you want to plan forward to that. You can't just make a cut in your backing fabric just saying to prevent you a lot of heartache and say like, oh, I'm going to stuff it like crazy, because you're going to realize that it changes the surface of the whole piece unless you have created a pattern piece that can really accommodate um, a really high relief piece. And we do see very high relief pieces. I'm thinking about Grace again. We do see very high relief pieces in rug hooking. It is known. It is fun, but just like the transparent wings, it needs to be figured out. It can't be something that you just start cutting into your backing fabric and you go, oh, that's not high enough. I want it higher. These are things you need to think out first. But having said that, hey, Buttons. Hey, my man, you gonna come say goodnight? You gonna come say goodnight? Come here. You gotta come sit with me while we say goodnight. Here he goes. Here. Oh, honey, do you see him laying? Oh, you don't see him. He's laying down on the floor, rolling over on his back like I'm gonna kill him, right? Because I always kill him. Right, here he, oh dear, oh there he is, oh there he is. Oh jeez, oh that butterfly wings, what? Anytime this book is great for this conversation. Anytime are you drooling? Anytime you come up with a new idea or technique you want to do, you should do it. But just think through all of the eventualities before there's heartbreak, right? I mean, you can fix anything, just more time and more frustration and aggravation, right? But it's so much fun with projects like these, and the bugs really lend themselves well to iridescent eyes, dragonfly eyes, translucent wings, beaded feet and joints. I mean, we've seen all kinds of techniques tonight, and we'll continue this conversation on Monday's show. So, continuing in the book on Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, same thing on this channel. That's Monday. This book really reminds us of all of the different bling and all of the different techniques we can do to uh, to make these bugs really stand out and be special, because at the end of the day, these are compositions of bugs, right? And I think all of the rugs that we've seen tonight, and indeed all of the rugs in this book, are made by people who really had it central. Oh, be careful, honey, be careful. I hate it when he jumps off my lap with those little legs. Really had it central in their minds that they would do like really highlight the bug, right? Make the bug the main character. And in doing so, you can see that people have really racked their brains to come up with devices and tricks and techniques to make these bugs really stand out. Look stitched into linen, especially on the tail. Let's see, stitched into linen, especially on the tail. This one, this one, um, oh, maybe it's a different one. I learned something new. Oh, good. Perfect effect for the beetles and beetles legs. I totally agree. Yeah, this is all. I always learn something good. Yeah, I mean, hey, that's what we're trying to do, right? Is we all get a little bit smarter and we remind ourselves about what's possible. And yeah, that's what's so fun to do on these nights. This book is amazing. So we'll return to this on Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll return because I have a bunch more in the slideshow. We went a little bit slow. We don't need to rush, right? This is Friday night. This is for fun. Um, we'll return to this on Monday. And I just want to remind you, if you joined us later, that this is a book called Magnificent Bugs and Rugs that was written and curated, including these beautiful poems, by Leslie Knight and Yvonne Iten-Scott. And a lot of people have asked, where can I get magnificent bugs and rugs? And I said earlier in the show, if you are in Canada, um, write to Leslie because she's in Canada. Write to her, and her email is in the description of this video you're watching now. If you're in the US, check with Gail Dufresne first. She and I wrote her name because the spelling is tough. She's on Facebook and she will answer you on Facebook. She's very, if you are on Facebook. But I know Gail Dufresne, and she said as of this afternoon she still has some books in stock. So she brought some home from Tigger in 2024. So so check with her if you're in the US because shipping, right? So check with one of them depending on where you are, and I'll remind you. And in the meantime, I will work on figuring out a way to get some of these books here so I can stock them also at Ribbon Candy Hooking, and I will stock them for exactly what they cost plus like the shipping and all that. I don't want to make a loss, but I also don't want to make a profit. I just want to make them available. So I'll see how easy it is to get them over here and what that looks like in terms of price. And I'll be working on that for you. I love learning all of these different techniques. Me too. Thank you for sharing. Um, and oh, Joe, oh my gosh, great to see you. I need to send you an email. I'll be sending you an email within a week for sure. I had a bunch of things I wanted to talk about with you. The brief for these pieces included the statement that the rugs were going into a book for children. Oh, how interesting is that? Joe, do you think this is meant to be a children's book? Is that why it's written in verse? I mean, I think of it as a great book for adults, right? I'm really loving the poems. How interesting is that? That was a really valuable addition to this conversation. That tells us something we definitely didn't know. Interesting. Yeah, this was a great show. And it's because this is a really great book, right? It is a great learning tool for kids too. Fantastic. That's why the poem. Okay, it's all coming together now. It is super whimsical. I've been really enjoying this episode, and I will look forward to Monday when we return to this. And yeah, it was great seeing everybody tonight. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Good luck if the snow is coming back for you. I'm very sorry unless you're looking forward to it. I hope that you can be comfortable and warm this weekend. I hope you can get busy on your projects. Let me know. Rita, I'll send you the birdcage. I'm just finishing it up, but I'll send you the sketch for it like in 1 minute. Let me know if you want to work on one of the last patterns for the Spill in the Tea book, because I'm about to kind of close that conversation while people work on it. We'll get that project out. Or if you want to work on other ribbon candy hooking projects or magpie time projects, always write to me at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. You know I'll write back. Lots of projects for you to participate in, for you to share your work, for your work to get published, for us to see what you do, whether you are a beginner or whether you've been doing this forever. We still want you participating at a high level in this community. Want to welcome you and invite you to share your work in so many different ways. So please be in touch. Mimi, thank you so much for this. I ordered the book from Gail. Fantastic. She was so prompt. Fantastic. I'm buying the book to give to my daughter who teaches 4th grade. How great is that? And she loves bugs. Couldn't be better. Couldn't be better. I will stay on top of this so that and see what Gail says too. It might be that Gail gets books and that they all come in through Gail. I just want to be sure that people who want books have a way forward to get the book, because I have mine, and I got mine person. So good luck. Want to be sure that you have yours too. So let me know how that all evolves. Let me know that you got the copies that you were looking for. Stay warm. That's it. And I will see you on Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard